What is up, everybody? You are tuned in to another episode of Chopping It Up with Q. A happy New Year's. Here we go, moving into February.
But we're here.
Hey,
Excited New Year.
yeah. Hey, better late than never, right? I hope 2020's treating you well so far. You know, we went 1 month in.
It feels like January was very long, and we always make that complaint every year. January feels like it goes on for 5 months, but I decided this year I am not going to complain about that. Maybe that is the universe's way of giving us more time to get our shit together before we roll into Black History Month.
Yeah, that's right. We are coming up to Black History Month. I'm about to do what I did last time. Get like a Black History fact like every week. I was starting off like once a day, but then I realized, man, that's taxing. That's 28. In this case, 29 days because I think it's a leap year, correct?
Yes, it is leap year.
So, oh man. But nah, man, what's been up though? It seems like it's been a while. I ain't seen you in a minute. You ain't seen me, I know. But how's everything?
Well, I mean, everything is everything. They're working me like a slave. I did get a raise, so that's nice.
So you still? I remember I was asking you, let me hold something, so that we good for that, right?
You can hold approximately $5.
Oh man,
just rough out here.
It's cool, man. So I'm gonna take that $5 and I'm gonna hit the streets and flip it because it's cookie selling season. So, first of all, anybody who need their cookie fix, man, y'all hit me up. I would say the Muffin Man, but we ain't gonna go all there. But I'm trying to be like Riley in the Boondocks, so that's how we doing it this year.
Well, I will say, yes, his baby, my birthday twin, is selling Girl Scout cookies. Y'all should buy some cookies. We love it when you support the children's.
Yeah, because it's all about the kids,
Support the children's. God bless the vitamins.
Oh man. Well, I guess other news is I'm a father 3 times over again.
Congrats.
Nah, man, it was pretty cool. So I've been off, I think 2 weeks now, and I think I get a month off, and I have a new appreciation for anybody who stays at home, because once you have the house and everything situated and you get the kids, you kind of just don't have much to do, if you really want to be honest.
Okay.
And, I mean, it's funny because like I've been napping more. Like every time around like 1 o'clock, I'm like, all right, man, let me give me a 30-minute nap. Let me go pick up the middle kid, and then after that, if the oldest has something to do, I'll do that. But yeah, like once I get them situated and I get my house chores done, I should be doing homework. I do it sometimes, but other than that, I just been doing nothing for the most part. I mean, it's great, but still.
Nothing wrong with doing nothing, right?
Oh man, but no, man, he a cool little dude. So he don't do much. He just eat, sleep, and shit. That's how they pretty much do starting off. But this is my third and last. We're still trying to flip the coin and see who gets neutered first. But we'll figure that out, I guess.
Well, the baby's still fresh. Wait till the new car scent wears off the baby, and then y'all can make a decision.
Oh, I'm done regardless. I mean, I got one breed of each human child. I think I'm good.
You have all the children.
Yeah, I've collected them all. I think I've done my job.
Oh man! Well, congratulations again.
I appreciate it, man. It was pretty dope for the most part. The best part of it was I got a free meal like for breakfast, lunch, and dinner when I was there. So that's the only thing that really excited me about the hospital stay. But other than that, then I got the bills. But
Yeah, it apparently is very expensive to birth a human. I wasn't aware, but somebody, occasionally people will talk about how much it costs to bring the small people into the world, and it's apparently thousands and thousands of dollars. And who knew?
Like, I want to say they said the average cost for birthing a human child is about 10 to 12,000. And that's just that's the hospital stuff. That's not including your visits and things like that throughout the 9 months.
Nice. All right.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, man, go ahead, take those loans and everything out. No, I'm messing with you. It ain't that bad, but oh man, but at the end of the day, ain't nothing else to do with you, man. You know,
I got a dog.
Okay, all right, fur baby, it's cool. You know, doing your Caucasian thing.
The dog doesn't really like me, so that's where we are with that. I brought a dog home. The dog is kind of like, I don't care if you eat. The dog has the if she dies situation going. It's like unless there's some food involved. Like the dog is really not here for any of my shit. The dog, unless the dog wants to be held or touched or cuddled, the dog is not interested in really anything that anybody else has to say or do.
That's I mean, think about it. You know, we bring an animal into our home. It's like, hey, little homies, this your new home. I know you miss your mama, but I'm your new mama. and so, is it a puppy or is it like a dog?
He's a puppy. He's about 12 weeks, rough. Well, about 10 weeks. That's 10 weeks old.
Okay. Oh well, he just stuck in there, so that's all that is. He understands the situation. He's confused on why you don't. You just here to feed him. That's it.
And bring home, stuffed toys for him to chew on. So that
exactly.
Because he's small, he rips them up a little, but he's not doing too much damage to them. So a little vacuuming here and there, but aside from that, he's been pretty good. For much about I complain about the dog not wanting to be bothered, he actually, he's like a roommate that doesn't have to. They can't contribute to bills, but they're quiet and they don't really make a lot of noise. They don't leave a mess, so
Yeah, and they freak you out when you see them moving around because you forgot they existed.
Yeah, you're like, oh shit, there's something down there. Oh gosh. He's running up and down. He's running back and forth up and down the hallway right now. So I hadn't seen him in like 20 minutes. So yeah, he's fine.
Okay. Oh man, but I guess one of the I'm gonna go ahead and just roll right into it. One of the good things about being off was I got to pick up on a lot of films. One, I still have to go sneak away and watch Bad Boys 3 because I'm hearing good things about it, and from what I've been told, is actually a pretty decent movie. Which I'm always skeptical about films like sequels that are like 10, 20 years in the making, because I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, do y'all still have it? But I don't know if you got a chance to see it or not.
I have not seen it yet, and I may go this evening. I'm not entirely sure. But that has kind of been my thought process, or what I've heard as well, is that it's a good movie. I mean, I've kind of heard the critique being, like maybe the story wasn't very strong, but again, was the story really strong in any, what I mean? Like, it just, like, I don't know what people were expecting. It's just, I mean, and plus it's one of the things, it's supposed to be kind of like an action film that doesn't take itself too seriously. Like, they're good, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence are good actors, but the idea here is something that's kind of fun, action driven, with a good chemistry. I don't think they're trying to, redo Shakespeare.
No. I mean, first of all, let's keep it real. When we look at these action films, tell me the story of take all the films and tell me what's the overall story of Fast and Furious. Mm-hmm.
The overall story of Fast and Furious is a group of friends who really enjoy racing cars. Mm-hmm. Some of them are criminals. Some of them are not necessarily criminals, mm-hmm. And are a tech genius, mm-hmm. and some thieves and some other stuff.
And then they become superheroes.
And then they become people who really enjoy shooting guns and pulling off heists. So I would say it is like Mario Kart meets Mission Impossible.
There you go. There is no story. You're here. If you came to a Fast and Furious film, you're here because of the action. You're not here for plot.
Well, no, I mean, because it's a little, and some of the plot points, you're like, okay, nothing about this makes sense. But the idea is for you to be like, holy shit, like the idea is for you to, be awestruck by these stunts, not to be like, let me get out a ruler and see if these angles are even possible. Like,
yeah, physics be damned. I mean, come on, like.
fast cars and people yelling about other people being their family but not really being their family, and them trying to save each other from getting shot and thwart terrorist plans. I think is it terrorism? I don't really know what
I have no idea. All I know is 1 and 2 are about street racing, and after that we said screw street racing. We finna go full on heist film. This is the A Team on times 10.
Yeah, it's like the 18, Grand Theft. It's like Grand Theft Auto. We see 18. Smash for any movie where they drove cars. It's Ford versus Ferrari.
See, so
it's whatever you really want it to be. Cars and people. How do you put that together?
That's it. So I mean, if you go watch a Bad Boys movie, you're only there because of Martin and Will Smith. If Martin and Will Smith were not in Bad Boys, I don't think it sells.
I think it sells and they call it something else.
Yeah, if they call it something else, yeah, but there's plenty of people who try to do like the buddy cop, outside of things like Lethal Weapon and stuff like that. You don't really get a lot of, I guess, I don't know. I'm just like, they pretty much their characters or them playing themselves is what sells the film, pretty much.
I agree with that. I certainly think there's a certain level of familiarity as well as chemistry that comes to that, which makes it work well. Because I think you're right. Because like I said, I really haven't had a super successful buddy cop film other than Lethal Weapon. And then you have Bad Boys, and then truth be told, when we go back to, when did the original come out? It was like 96?
Yeah. Yeah, because I remember I wasn't technically supposed to watch it, but for some reason my dad was being irresponsible at the time and allowed me to. So yeah, somewhere around that time.
When the original came out, the idea, the budget wasn't super, super high on this movie. And the idea or the thought was it wasn't going to do extremely well, and it wasn't going to do well internationally because 2 black leads could not carry a film. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really interesting to see how well they did, how well that movie was able to do, and then look at the progression and how much bigger the budgets have gotten and how it's still able to kind of maintain what made the first one good. Yeah. If that makes sense. So, I can certainly appreciate that. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, definitely. And then, if you really just look at their beginnings, because you look at Will and Martin at the time were mostly TV personalities. So then putting them in, I think Independence Day had came out by then. So, but I can't think of a film where Martin was like, oh yeah, Martin is a big TV, movie personality at the time. Because I think, he was in House Parties and all that, but I don't know if he was known as like an action star at that time or at least that type of film. So
no, I don't think they were. So I think it's interesting to see how they were able to capitalize and how well the film did, considering that they thought that it wouldn't really do any numbers because it was 2 black people. So.
Yeah. But speaking of black cinema, I saw the greatest film of all time for all the wrong reasons, and I'm trying to get V to go watch it because it requires academic work on how it has been created. And that's my man TP's A Fall from Grace. Did you ever get why are you avoiding this movie, ma'am?
Because I'd be hate watching it. And here's my thing. I am the first to tell people, like, look, and whoever listens to this, I do not want you to get the impression that I have some type of vendetta against Tyler Perry. I think Tyler Perry may have a vendetta against black people having nice things in his movies, but I don't know that, I don't know that I have a vendetta against them. I think he has a vendetta against us in like pushing stereotypes out against black people, but that's neither here nor there. Sorry if somebody outside the apartment has started up their very noisy car. Sorry. Please, the car is ghetto. Oh my god. Car is ghetto. Like, I want them to pull it away from the goddamn window already. It's like a station wagon. It's like on its last legs. Like, like goddamn.
Know somebody who had one of those?
Listen, it's getting from point A to point B, so I'm not mad. I just wanted to move it away from the window. Mm-hmm. So I don't have an issue with Tyler Perry. Like I always tell people, if you're listening to this, I support black people hiring other black people to do black people things and making their black ass money. Like, I'm not ever going to be mad at that man for that. However, I'm not going to sit here and say that I just enjoy those movies, and that is not necessarily my type of movie. And so it's not necessarily that it even is Tyler Perry. Like, I just don't go up for that kind of movie. Like, we watched the stage plays with Medea or whatever, and I thought that was, funny, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you I didn't fast forward through all the goddamn singing because I did not give a fuck and did not come for that. So when they made the movies without the singing, you're like, okay, I can get into this. And the ones that were higher budget were not bad, I don't love them, but I've seen them.
Yeah.
And because he's able to produce his own movies, which God bless him, that's amazing that he has his own studio. But it just seems like it's become this running joke because he's like, well, because basically he's on his own dime and his own money. It seems like he's cutting corners so that he can just churn out as much as he wants to.
Yeah. He has created the equivalent of movie equivalent of fast fashion.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally the Fashion Nova of movie making.
Yeah, because the man bragged about filming this movie in 5 days, and it shows. I would have kept that quiet, but hey, you know what?
Well, and he posted the video where he said, that he was the writer's room basically, and he just had all these scripts piled up, and he was showing the pages, and he wrote all of the scripts and all of the dialogue. And I do not know what he thought people were going to take away from that, because basically people were like, we know. Like, that's not news. We're all aware that's what you're doing. How could it not be? Have you seen these shows? And that's my understanding as well, because I believe they were saying when he was doing House of Pain for, what was it, TBS or TBS?
Yeah, TBS, I believe.
When he was doing House of Pain, he did have some writers, and there was this big stink about the writers feeling like they weren't getting paid enough, they weren't getting time out. Like, basically, he wanted them to churn out scripts by the day, essentially, and just constantly be writing, no break, just churning stuff out. And they were just like, you can't work people like that.
Yeah.
So I do not know. And then I guess they kind of wanted to unionize so that they were able to get better working conditions. And he was like, cut it. We're good here. So,
y'all unionizing? Okay, watch this. And now he no longer has a writing room.
Right. And so, I mean, like I said, again, I appreciate the fact that he hires black bodies and for all intents and purposes seems to pay the people that work for him, a decent wage. It is just one of those things where, because you were doing, and let me backtrack some, because it leads me to, or makes me think about kind of a bigger question. Why is it that we as black people will celebrate any type of success that black people have and feel like they're above critique because they're successful?
Because of I have an assumption about it. Because of the limited amount of persons that you have seen, because he's not the only person. He's the only ones who have their own studios, but he's not the only like big media mogul. But we know of him, and we're fascinated with his story of going from, sleeping in the car to the penthouse. That's always a fascinating story, no matter what. Right. And so we feel like if we critique these people, we can then open up the floodgates for others outside our community to do so, and then therefore tear down his empire. Then we left with nothing. That's all assumptions, but that's how it comes off.
And I guess I wonder why it is that people feel that way. You know what I mean? And I get that it comes from not really having too many choices and wanting to uplift the people in our community that are doing things and are hiring black actors and black actresses and giving these people a shot. So I certainly do appreciate the fact that he does that, because he's giving people roles and jobs where they might not necessarily have one. Like Cicely Tyson stays with a check. God bless her. That lady is here looking fantastic for her age. She's getting a steady check. She's working. So if that means she got to be in a film that got filmed in 5 days, I'm sure she's like, I'm going to keep getting to this bag.
Man, I ain't gonna lie. It kind of looked like they just found Cicely somewhere and I was like, oh, Cicely, walk this way. Oh, okay. And they just filmed while she was just...
The filming was going on and she kind of showed up. She showed up just kind of for some things. They were like, hey, put on this nightgown. Come on. And I can see that. But again, like I said, I don't have a gripe with Tyler Perry, but my concern is that we as Black people exalt people that are doing good things in the Black community, but feel like they are above reproach and critique because of these things. And you see that, which, not to compare Tyler Perry to like Bill Cosby or anybody else, but you see this, like we exalt these people to this level of it does not matter what wrongs they have done. We then compare it to, well, white people do X, Y, Z. And it's like, well, why as a community, when we're betterment as Black people in our community, why the fuck do we care whether or not white people are getting a similar treatment if we're not trying to hold ourselves to better standards?
Because that's what we all do. We all say them over there are doing the same thing, so it should be okay over here. Just like I remember that people used to always say, you should never critique another Black person in public. You say that for her. I'm like, what? Because other people are going to see you do that. And I'm like, who the fuck cares? I was like, because here's the thing. If they're going to have something negative to say about you, they're saying it anyway, regardless of what beef y'all got going or what critique someone else thrown at you. That the thought's already there. So to say that, oh, if they see us do it, then that gives them more avenue. Like, no, they were going to do that anyway.
Right. I mean, and that's the unfortunate part. And that's the part I've never understood. We do this thing where we want to be able to do what white people do, when in reality, white people look at us and are like, oh, look what they did. And then you're in the same place you would have been anyway, and they're still doing whatever they were doing. Like, it does not matter. And that's what I'm saying. To feel like you should have equality in the things that are wrong with society seems ass backwards to me.
Like, we can tell Hollywood we don't want to see any more slave movies, but we can't tell Tyler Perry, stop giving us these terrible wigs and bad acting and bad dialogue, dog. Give us a better story.
Then they say what you want. He's getting paid, and that's absolutely fine. There's
so
nothing
is the
wrong.
Troop Man. Does that make it right?
and that's fine. Like, if he's getting paid and you enjoy watching those movies, keep going. But then don't get mad at other people because they don't want to go. Because guess what? If it's a white person that makes a movie I don't want to go see, I don't go see it.
I don't see it.
My boss his white ass has been trying to get me to watch 1917 for 2 weeks. I'm not
movie,
watching that. They keep making these World War II white ass movies. I don't give a fuck. I don't want to see that.
No.
I don't want to see some goddamn war epic with a bunch of white people running around running from Nazis. I don't care. I don't want to see it. I'm not gonna go see it. It might be the best put together movie ever. Doesn't matter. Not getting any of my coins. So guess what? If I don't want to see that, I don't also have to see Tyler Perry do whatever he does, bad Wig Cinema. I don't have to.
Now, here's what I have said, because I was like, this is the only way TP's films become better. If you think about this, Tyler Perry is secretly writing comedies, but they appear as dramas.
If he would just quit playing in our fucking faces and say that these are comedies and not dramas, oh my God, like, fine. It'd be like listen, like, nobody thinks that Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle was supposed to be this excellent piece of cinema, or Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, or Clerks, or like, nobody thinks these movies are supposed to be these highbrow, dramatic masterpieces. So if you would just be honest with yourself and with us about what kind of movies you're putting out, nobody would give a fuck. Hey guys, I'm about to make a movie in 5 days. This bitch is going to be hilarious. Bad wigs abound. Go out and see.
Yes, I'm talking about, I'm making caricatures of ideas of people, but not who people really are. It's going to be hilarious, but there's a message in it. It's like, all right, cool. I can dig it. But I don't know, man. But it was his cliche ending, you know. Dark-skinned brother was the villain. He had no motivation. He was just evil for evil's sake. And it's like, okay, you know, we watched Marvel movies. We understand there's just bad guys because, hell, it's a Tuesday. So I get it. And honestly, that's how it comes off. It comes off as a lowbrow Marvel film because you go back and watch it for all the stuff that you missed that people pointed out. And the villains are like as shallow as a kiddie pool. So
I'm still watching it though.
I'm telling you, like, watch.
Everybody on Twitter has watched it for me, and y'all have posted such interesting clips of the movie. Y'all have told me the synopsis of the movie. Y'all have taken screenshots of the most hideous errors in the movie. At this point, I feel like I don't have to watch it. Y'all have watched it for me.
Well,
I know everything I need to know.
Well, it's one of those things where, when you hear something happen, but you got to see it to believe it. That's how it comes off. It's like, there's no way a boom mic showed up. 2 boom mics at that. Not 1, but 2 in the same scene showed up in the shot. No way. You're like, oh shit, there it is. There's no way that the woman's wig was changed from one clip to another. Like, the scenes were spliced together. And it's like, oh shit, that actually did happen. That's the and I watched it twice so far. And I said, it's one of those ones you throw on, you got alcohol next to you, a scene goes down, you pause it, and y'all just dialogue about it, because it's one of those films.
I don't know. I'm okay. Thank you. Moving on. Moving on.
But this kind of piggies off of what you said. If his audience likes that, and even then, I think I brought this up to you before, like the state of black cinema. I'm a weirdo when it comes to film. I'm a big sci-fi fantasy guy. I watch a drama here and there, but that's not my preferred movie choice. And I like comedies. Now, I think when it comes to black cinema, we kind of got the comedy game somewhat on lock. Just depends. But the latter, or the one I said prior, you don't really have a lot of sci-fi or fantasy type genres with black persons. And I mean, you could probably consider Black Panther, but it's a Marvel film, so it was mostly produced by them, Disney. So with Tyler Perry, is it that he's making safe films because he doesn't feel like his audience will appreciate anything outside of what they're used to?
Well, I mean, it's supply and demand, right? So we can sit up here and say all of these things that we are saying, but like I always joke, I'm gonna say this, but it is what it neither here nor there. Mm-hmm. We always make that joke on Twitter that meanwhile on Facebook, and it's like there's a completely separate type of conversation about the same thing going on. So when it comes to Tyler Perry and his critique of film, you see a lot of that on Twitter, which is just kind of a right? It's a very sheltered kind of ball of whatever. And then you go over to Facebook and my entire friends list is talking about how amazing the movie was and how it was so good and it was so amazing. I'm like, I saw that too. You're just like, what? So then so then you're looking back over it like, let me go back to what they said the plot was. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. None of this makes any sense. Okay. Hey. All right. You go back over to Facebook and you're like, oh, okay. Hey. So it's just one of those things where obviously and I always tell people there is an audience and a market for everything. Sure. So even if we sit here and critique it and say that, he's doing us a disservice and selling himself short, if that is how he is making his money, there's really no incentive for him to change unless it kind of jumps the shark to some extent, and then the movies are no longer of interest to anyone. But as long as he's making something that apparently, millions of Facebook users are really enjoying, then he's done his job. It doesn't matter how you or I feel about it. If millions of people are still clicking on it and watching it and saying how amazing it was, regardless, then somebody likes that. And he's found his niche audience, and that's who he's making these films for. He put out films for that, the Christian Jesus sect. Yeah. And now we kind of forayed away from that and found money in a different way, still with black people, but we found a way to capitalize and broaden our audience. Yeah, the insane, crazy black woman or black person that's just zero motivations on why they do it. But hey, because Acrimony was a wreck, but it's still another beautiful train wreck because you're like, man, I love Taraji, but damn, Taraji, did you owe Tyler a favor or something? But that's neither here nor there. But I mean, that's how it come off. It's like, hey man, look, I owe you a movie. Fine. I mean, and I think and God bless Taraji, because I think it's one of those things where in some way she feels indebted to him, because like she always talks about the start of her career and how when she did was the Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which is one of the first kind of high profile movies she was in with white people. She said that she basically had to pay for her own hotel and stuff. And so she was saying that Tyler Perry is really one of the first people that paid her worth when it came to her being in his films. So I certainly do feel like maybe she feels indebted to him in some ways. That, hey, if he calls me and says, can you do this movie for me? The material may not be there, but she certainly has a caliber of acting that makes it better than it would be with somebody that he paid less money. So I will give her that. Like, certainly, the movie was not great, but she did well with the material she was given.
She did the best she could. Which, coming as here's who he reminds me of. And then I'm going to get back to the previous. He reminds me of the Black George Lucas, not in what he has created, but his attitude to filmmaking. George Lucas did great initially because he had the right people around him and he had the right folks to check him. That's why Star Wars became as good as it was. Not because of George Lucas by himself, but he had a crew of people who was down for him. But when he tried to do it all on his own, that's when people started questioning how good was this film series really. Because the dialogue was terrible, the story was shit, and they just weren't really that good. Now we appreciate them now because Disney got a hold of it, and we don't like the Disney ones either. So, hey, there you go. Now it's an endless cycle. But anyways, I think he needs to get like the right crew around him, a good set of writers, good young directors, people with good ideas, fresh ideas. You can still do your own thing, Tyler, but you can put more things out of your studio overall. But I'll just leave that there. But to the previous question about Black Cinema, the only reason I asked because if you go, I'll tell you, you go through like Amazon or was it Tubi or any place like that has a Black Cinema area, and you look through the films, and the number one film, or not the number one, but the main ones that come up as popular is Plug Love, and you're scrolling through and you're like. It's just interesting because it's either a hood movie, a low budget love story, or the combination of both. And that's pretty much it.
Because I assume that's what they feel like. Those are and that's what I've always said. Like, there are so many Black stories to be told. I do not know why people push this narrative. Not necessarily of us being a monolith, of just that every Black story is about some struggle with drugs or some weird hood romance or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, that part, it just seems odd. But again, somebody's obviously watching these movies. And then also on the flip side, if none of these movies were ever being put out, there would be a complaint there. So, I mean, you at least have to, even if the movies are kind of a shit show, you have to appreciate that somebody is putting them out there for view.
Definitely. But I will say this. I'm not saying you should get rid of those. But variety, how's it go? Variety is the spice of life or something like that. But anyways, but I mean, here's the thing. A lot of Black people, especially, we're a lot more nerdier than we're willing to admit to others. I don't know why it's maybe stigmatized within our community. But let's just be honest. Like, even back in school, all the tough dudes used to go home and watch Dragon Ball Z after school. They act like they don't, but they did. And so we grew up with a lot of that stuff as well. And it's just interesting how you don't really see that replicated in our cinema options, is what I would say.
I agree.
So, I don't know. It's just something to think about, though. Like I said, I mean, I'm all for a good struggle love story because some of them are hilarious within themselves. I think bad films are just as important as really good films because there's some movies, like Sharknado is awesome. I know what to expect, so it's just hilarious.
Right. And again, we need all kinds to make the world go round. But I think that and maybe it's the studios or things that people are willing to back, and maybe that's some of it. They don't feel like these sci-fi movies with Black characters will do well. So, I mean, I sincerely hope that maybe we get to a place where we have more people willing to invest in and promote these types of shows and movies that are not necessarily based on everyone living in the hood or selling drugs or whatever. And obviously there are, some love stories. Like we have the one that Issa Rae is doing that's coming out.
I did hear about that, yeah.
Valentine's Day. And that seems like, and everybody was saying how they were looking forward to it because it was a love story with people that obviously have problems, but it was more in the vein of like these rom-coms that we see with white characters, instead of being some broken down horrible story where it's abusive and awful and whatever else.
Yeah.
So you can go and enjoy a genuine love story with it having to not be some weird, plot point in the background.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's why one of my favorite films that I think and feel is vastly underrated is Boomerang. I say Boomerang is one of the first movies that I saw where you had mostly black cast, but they actually were just professionals. Everyone was a professional in there.
Everyone's professional. Everybody had a good job. Everyone had nice apartments. Nobody was a drug dealer. There was no threat of gun violence. There wasn't anything about gangs. And it was funny. And so you could appreciate the characters and the depth of them and the relationships because it was relatable. You see people, and there are more stories from black people that need to be told. And maybe these are things that are not being greenlit in studios or whatever. And I hope that we get to a place where more of them are, and they're able to see that, these black characters and black actors and actresses can carry these type of rom-com sci-fi films. And I think that's why they don't get cast, because a lot of times in people's minds, these are not the people that they look for. They look for these white actresses or actors. And so I hope that we kind of are moving towards that place where they see black people as able to carry those types of films.
Yes. And I would just say this, Hollywood, yes, people will buy a film with a majority black cast as long as the story is good.
Amen.
If you give people a good movie, they'll come watch it. But,
amen.
Oh, man. All right. Last thing is, talk about V's favorite folks. My Hotepian people and the king of the Hoteps themselves. So, this past week, I want to say it was last Sunday, we did lose an NBA legend and Kobe Bryant. Now, I can always say I had a love-hate relationship with Kobe because this is just a hater in me. I grew up a Rockets fan, and the Rockets and the Lakers are in the same division or the same conference. And when they were good, I didn't like when they used to beat up on us. But that's me being a biased Rockets fan. But also on the same day, I said, for those people who are around my age, he was the closest thing to Jordan that we got to see in his prime. Yes, we did see Jordan in the latter part of his years, but let's be honest, he retired in 98. Half of us was just, 10 and 11. So we were aware of him, but we didn't really grow up watching him in the 80s and so on and so forth. And so Kobe was that next person. If you want to,
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of people say. Kobe was their Jordan. They grew up on the tail end of seeing Jordan, and so they weren't watching it in real time. And for some, and I can tell people, like, some of my earliest memories are watching Jordan play and being in Chicago. But again, we were kids. And I think that when we got to the age where we really kind of had that love and attention to the game, Kobe was the person to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad and unfortunate, and I don't want to harp on that part of it. I guess I don't want it to be this sad thing, because they did the Lakers played last night, and LeBron gave a very moving speech, and it obviously somebody's dead. So 9 somebodies are dead, and so it was hard to sit through and watch, and I just commend them for even being able to play a basketball game after something like that, because I just don't know if I would have the fortitude of my spirit to hear something like that, sit through that, and then be like, great, let's play basketball.
Yeah, it'd be tough. Now, some people do play tough in grief. I want to say, and I think what Brett Favre broke a record when his dad died, and I was like, man, I don't know how can you get the idea to go out and play a game with someone close to you passes away? That's always been beyond me. But
father's dead.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think when your whole life has been a love affair with the game of basketball or the game of football, then that is where you put your energy, where you're able to channel your feelings and kind of get away from whatever you're thinking. Yeah. But we'll move to the Hotepery, and I will just say, I will just say as an afterthought, I was really pleased to see hashtag girl dad trending. And all of you have been posting all these really nice pictures with your daughters, and your girls, and how proud of them you are. And and I get that and a lot of people I think have the right idea, but I will say this: I do not want it to be lost in the shuffle that in this hashtag, Kobe was consummately a girl dad. He was proud of his girls, not because they were a consolation to having a son, but because they were wholly and innately themselves, and he was proud of the people that they were, and what their accomplishments were. Mm-hmm. And I do not want that to get lost in the shuffle or get lost in the meaning. Be proud of your girls because they are girls. Be a girl dad because it is what the opportunity has afforded you to raise this wonderful person and release them into the world. Do not hashtag girl dad as I wanted boys, but this is what I'm stuck with.
Shit, I guess I'm stuck with this one.
But that was not the meaning and the thought behind that hashtag. It was not what I don't think that is where Kobe was coming from. He was proud of those girls. He was a proud parent. And there's something to be said for the second life and the way that he was able to transition from being a basketball player to being this wonderful parent to these girls, and an Oscar winner and an Emmy winner and an author and an entertainer in ways that I don't think any of us would have been able to imagine from the Kobe Bryant that grew up and play basketball. So yeah. Now on to the Hotep. What you got?
Oh my God. So, I try to always give these people their own space to just be themselves, whatever. But the emperor of Hotep is himself, Umar Johnson. I don't even know if I want to call him doctor. He claimed he's a doctor. I'm not sure, but sure, we'll go with it.
Where he got his doctorate from?
Some school in Philly, I think, allegedly. So I had to look it up. For all those people who PhDs are, you can't look those records up. But anyways, he decides he wants to get on the Lord's internet. Twitter specifically, and claimed that Kobe's death was a act of the NBA and Big Pharma, because apparently weather conditions such as fog or anything that can impede vision or mess with any electronic systems or any navigation systems does not cause helicopter wrecks. He's flown on helicopters. Have you ever seen a wreck? Have you ever seen a propeller give out? Coming from a guy who's not an engineer, not a scientist, not a mechanic, none of these things. But yeah, he knows how this stuff works. Probably can't even tell you how to do a lift equation. But we're going to leave physics on the table. We'll leave that alone. But anywho, he gets on and basically says, so his story is the NBA wanted to get rid of him because allegedly he was trying to start a NBA league in China that's supposed to rival the NBA. Even though China already has their own league, I believe. Stephon Marbury and, everyone's favorite Jimmy Fredette played over there for quite a few years. So they already have a league. Okay. Matter of fact, a lot of countries have their own leagues. NBA is still the most popular because it's also, international sport. But yeah, fine. Whatever. We'll go with that. No merit behind it, but we'll just throw that out there. For some reason, also LeBron passing Kobe is significant in some way. I guess he's going to try to throw some numerology shit out there, which, fine. and lastly, he wants to say that he was in a lawsuit with a big pharmaceutical company. The niggas that sell like the pills in the gas stations that you see and always wonder what they were for. Yeah, them niggas. Yeah. Even though that I think a lawsuit's been going on for like 5 years. Also, I think even if in his death, his estate can still continue on the lawsuit because, lawsuits don't stop because of one party passes away or is dead or imprisoned or whatever. But hey, fine, we'll roll with it. But I was happy to also see a lot of people basically told him, shut up, man, you don't know what you're talking about. But there is a subsector of people who will say, oh man, I never thought about all that stuff. He might have a point. And so, where did this conspiracy theory... Why are so many of us conspiracy theorists, I guess, especially in the black community? It's not just us, but it seems like there's a lot of us into that.
I I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. Okay, sorry, I don't want to be like, ah, ah, ah. There is nothing wrong with having a healthy curiosity. There's nothing wrong with questioning things that do not seem to make sense in a way that they would make sense in other cases. It is okay to question things that seem like anomalies when all of the signs point to something not quite adding up, or your gut feeling being, okay, something about this is wrong. However, once you do the research and you are not able to put together the things that you want to believe to be true in any way that you are able to back them up, and you have no proof, you have to back away from those things. Yes. And it is harmful and negligent at best for people with these large platforms and millions of views of impressionable people to then be like, oh, well, XYZ, blah, 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 blah. The earth is flat. When you go too far, you're going to fall off the edge. Go over there, try, see what happens, blah, 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 blah. Like, that is fine. But if you cannot prove these things to be true, then at some point you just kind of have to give it up. And I certainly think that it says something about him to use the time in which they are still piecing together the facts, still collecting evidence, and people are grieving this man, to post a video in which this is the focus of your video. Not the loss of life, not the sadness that people have because you claim to want to uplift Black people and help them. Yeah, so it's just, why would that be your focus? It's the same with Alex Jones and Sandy Hook and those things.
Oh my God.
You're insane if your focus after the death of small children is it's a conspiracy and a cover-up and it didn't really happen. Or it's a conspiracy and a cover-up and all these people were on their way to a basketball game and they were murdered for some reason because helicopters don't go down.
Yeah. These
are people's family members. These are people's children, mothers, brothers, uncles, sisters, whatever. So for that to be your focus just seems like there is something wrong with you, and something in your spirit is black and ugly for that to be the route that you even go.
Well, I think here's the problem when it comes to people like Umar, Alex Jones. I can't even name. There's quite a few of them. But when you build your platform on a certain thing, then you have to make leaps in logic to make sure that that thing stays relevant. And so he built his platform on white supremacy, which I'm not going to say that don't exist. But the leaps that he creates, you can't say that exists in that realm. And so that's the problem, is people will take a known issue and then spin it to make everything that issue. And that's like, no, that's not how that works. And so it's just interesting because I'm like, no one looks into these matters. They just take what he said and just roll with it. And I'm like, it was easy to Google search. How can fog affect the radar? Is radar similar to sonar? Does it detect solid surfaces? Does it detect the surface itself? Or does it only detect other things with electronic signal? These are things that easy to look into. But you choose not to, because I don't know if we secretly also want it to be true, because there always has to be some nefarious thing going on, because things just can't happen. Someone, it reminded me of Undercover Brother in Dave Chappelle's character, Conspiracy Brother, where he was like, sometimes things don't, he was like, things don't just happen. Sometimes certain people, i.e. white people, make things happen. That's what we're going to go with.
Which, okay. So some truth to that.
Okay, I feel it.
And sometimes there is some truth to that. However, all I'm saying is that not everything can be a conspiracy. Sometimes things happen, but I also think that when it comes to certain things, they are so heinous and so awful, and we have such a hard time making sense of why something like that would happen, that there are certain people that in order to deal with the trauma or the shock of whatever the situation is, they are willing to listen to anybody feed them anything if it helps them make sense of the situation. Because I think Like, I can't remember who was saying it. A basketball player that interviewed, I cannot remember the kid's name, but he was saying that he felt like Kobe was Superman, and he kept waiting for the, he heard the news, and he said he kept waiting to hear that he had jumped out the helicopter and he was okay.
Yeah. And I do get that, because unfortunately, when it comes to things like death, even birth, there are some things we can't explain. Science has, mechanical failure, human error. It's really, sometimes you can explain. It is possible for a brand new, I don't know, Mercedes to get on the road and have some type of failure that ends in as malfunction. That happens. It's rare, but it can happen. And so maybe that is right. Maybe people need to have that type, at least some kind of nefarious act, the boogeyman or something needs to be involved. So then you're like, okay, I know where to direct my emotions to.
And I think to some, which granted, I'm glad that a lot of people were like, shut the fuck up. But I think there's certainly some people that took that and were like, man, that's a good point. You should,
a lot of people.
A good point. I didn't even think of that, because they want to have some reason why somebody that seemed not godlike, but like he was a superhero, someone that, flew higher, worked harder, it seemed unbreakable to some extent, dies like that. To have these 13-year-old girls die in a helicopter crash on the way to a basketball game, and this person that seems invincible wasn't able to somehow push the pilot out the way and pull the helicopter out of a tailspin, and everyone got off okay. And so I think people want so badly for an explanation as to why something awful happens that they're willing to just be like, okay, well, yeah, maybe somebody did just have them killed.
Mm-hmm.
They just want somebody to direct all of their uncertainty and feelings to. They want to be able to take that uncertainty, to turn it into some specific feeling, and then direct it at someone. So if that means we have to direct it at conspiracy theory anger because Big Pharma killed Kobe Bryant, then that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. I just one of those ones. I say it's very dangerous thinking, because if things were to happen or were to occur, it comes off as the child who cried wolf. It's like when everybody used to say everything was police brutality, then nothing becomes police brutality. Now it's just like, oh, well, they're just angry again, because remember last time it wasn't that case, but we'll just treat that as such. And that's why I'm trying to get that from. I guess when I see these things, I'm like, nah, let's not go down that rabbit hole. I mean, we could look into it, sure. Like I said, or like you even said, I'll even piggyback, is that, skepticism can be healthy. Trust but verify is a healthy practice. But once you get the information and you look into it, it's like, it sounded good, but that's not exactly true. Then you kind of have to just concede then. You're like, hey, no further questions. That's it. But just to let people know, things like inclement weather such as fog, heavy rain, thunderstorms, and things like that can affect the flight of aeronautical machinery such as helicopters and airplanes. It's also a known fact, or at least from what I've gathered, that other helicopters were not flying the same on that day for that very reason. Yes, there's a such thing as mechanical failure and or human error and or performance errors. It happens. You have perfectly trained pilots who crash and burn it every so often. Plenty of hours of flight. But that day, they just didn't have it. Things happen. I understand. And I understand that's scary, because you're like, hey, if I can't pinpoint anything, I can't gather any understanding of it. And so I get it.
Yeah, I think that's certainly where we are with that. I think people they want to believe something because they don't want to, because the option is believing it, because the option is not having an answer. So people would rather have an answer, because the option of uncertainty is not something that humans do well with.
No, absolutely not. That's when we wild out.
So it gets really, really bad.
Oh man, but we coming up on time. V, anything last you want to kind of kick to the folks? This also, go ahead, share your social media and everything. Also, any new announcements you may have in the upcoming month or whatever, let the folks know.
Do I have any upcoming announcements? Let's see. Not really. No, I think everything is still about the same. Other than pretty soon I will be starting a true crime podcast that Q was nice enough to help me pick out a name for. So Murder V Wrote will be coming to you probably next month. So keep an eye out for that. Because if you share a love of true crime like I do, then you want to tune in because we're just going to indulge in the thing that we love most, I will say. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I would like to remind you that not every holiday is meant to be divisive, so just tell somebody that you love them. And let's try to be kind to each other. I think maybe one of the things that we are realizing that death comes to us in many forms, and it takes people that we do not expect to leave this earth when they do. I'm not saying you have to invite the toxicity of people that you've cut off back into your life. You don't have to make amends with people that you feel like or you do better without. But what I am saying is that you give the people that you do care about their flowers while they're here. And you tell them that you love them and you tell them that you appreciate them. And that is that. You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram. It is at BJ_Burton. On Snapchat, it is Meek B. If you would like to be my friend on Facebook, I occasionally post a meme or two. It is Vermeek Burton. But I think that is it for me. What you got?
All right. Yeah, all that stuff you said. No, man, but I just looking forward to the new year, man. I'm trying to really build up this platform, and even then continue to build on all the other shows that I'm gonna try to help produce moving into this year. We're gonna try to really put out new content and everything for everyone. Now, how often we'll probably maybe do this one like twice a month. And then I'm also trying to help others and then even help V with her thing. So, yeah, y'all just keep a lookout on that. You can follow the network's page at TCD Media Network, and we're going to try to do more. And I mean, eventually I'm thinking about doing a Twitch or maybe even getting a YouTube channel or something like that. People who know me, I do like talking certain things that's like abnormal politics, sci-fi, nerd shit. So I might do something like that to just to waste time. Since I waste time playing games, might as well talk while doing it. But yeah, man, other than that, man, I'm always appreciative of anybody who does tune in, tell a friend to tell a friend and pass it around. And even if we haven't met, I do care about everyone's well-being. And y'all just make sure y'all treat each other well. And we got this upcoming Black History Month, so make it do Brother Malcolm and Brother Martin justice. They fought for us, so make sure we kind of continue doing these certain things. So other than that, I ain't got too much more to say. So we appreciate you, and we up out.
Laters.